Hi, this is Phyllis Tarbox with Above and Beyond Christian Counseling, and today I'd like to ask you a question. Is your soul trapped in a pit of destruction? Have you tried deliverance and still feel stuck? Do you feel like your feet are oftentimes sinking in miry clay? And have you lost hope? Your soul might be trapped in a spiritual region of captivity that is called the pit of destruction. The Bible contains several references to man being in a pit of destruction. However, Isaiah 38:17 contains a reference to the soul alone. It says, and I want you to stay with me while I explain this verse later, I don't see this pit often, but I want to relate one deliverance to you where it was very evident to me. My client was a priest in a mainline denomination who was struggling with suicidal thoughts and severe depression. During his deliverance, I discerned that he was held captive in a spiritual pit, and the demonic realm was trying to destroy him. The strongman of heaviness was in control, and when I dealt with him, I was then able to cast out spirits of self-pity, depression, suicide, despair, and hopelessness. Once the guards to the pit of destruction were gone, the strongman of heaviness dealt with, his soul released. In the spirit, I could see him spiritually climbing out of the pit to stand in the light. In fact, I saw him on firm ground with beat-up brown leather thongs on his feet. While this was a new encounter for me, I should add this was also done as an online session, which is done over the internet, which made it very interesting because I couldn't see his feet. So I asked him what kind of shoes he was wearing, and he showed me his beat up brown leather thongs that were identical to what I saw him wearing in the spirit. God was in the details. You know, God often asks us, who will call my children out? Who will say, let them go? David, he described other regions that can hold part of your soul in the Psalms. So let's take a little bit further look. Spiritual regions of captivity. The Bible explains that our soul man, the soul, resides within our body, along with our spirit man and our Holy Spirit. While David was often under attack and duress in the natural realm, like Saul pursuing him, for example, his soul was often at peace. There are other instances where his body was not physically under duress, but the torment was in his mind, memory, and emotions, his soul. That's the area we want to take a deeper look at. And this following section that I'm going to read to you from is adapted from our new book, God's View Today, Adjusting the Lens on Healing and Deliverance. I co-wrote this with Kathleen Peck, and you can find it in our resource library under our website. So let's go on about that. King David expressed the captivity of his soul through the Psalms. Most of us look at the Psalms as poetry or songs, but they're much more than that. David used the Psalms to describe a reality of the invisible world that your soul and spirit can occupy. Let's examine some of those Psalms that David talks about and discover the regions of darkness that he was experiencing. This one is about that pit of destruction. The soul in a pit and in danger of lions. For without cause they hid their net for me. Without cause they dug a pit for my soul. That's in Psalm 35, verse 7. But when I stumbled, they gathered in glee. Assailants gathered against me without my knowledge. They slandered me without ceasing. Like the ungodly, they maliciously mocked. They gnashed their teeth at me. How long, Lord, will you look on? Rescue me from their ravages, my precious life, literally his soul, from these lions. And that's in Psalm 35, verses 15 through 17. You see, his soul, not his body, was in danger of the net, the pit, and the lions. When you are continually mocked and slandered, the enemy will dig a pit, and he'll try to throw you in it. You feel hopeless, helpless, trapped, and not able to escape. And a lot of times the mocking begins in childhood, and it will leave you very insecure and very vulnerable, and it'll use the voices of the children who picked on you and laughed at you. And those voices will follow you into adulthood, with others assuming the role of the mocker. David cries out, "Rescue my soul from the lions." He wasn't talking about natural lions, or he would have left out the reference to his soul. He would have just said, "Rescue me from the lions." Then there's the soul that's stuck in a pit or miry clay. And then it says, "He brought me up out of the pit of destruction, out of the miry clay, and he set my feet upon a rock, making my footsteps firm." So there it is. That's in Psalm 40, verse 2. David is describing a pit with sticky or slippery clay. He feels trapped in a hole that he cannot climb out of because the walls are slick and the mud is sticky. This describes those who are stagnant and feel stuck. Every step they try to take is exhaustive and tricky to navigate. Sadly, aside from these pits, there's other spiritual regions of darkness referenced in the Psalms. And in our book, we describe another one called the land of forgetfulness. That's a place for those who are overlooked, never seen, or forgotten. Here's where spirits of rejection, abandonment, isolation, distrust, envy, and bitterness rule here. You can find that one in Psalm 88, verse 12. Then there's the land of the silent. That holds back the voice of many, so they're never heard. Spirits of muting, frustration, and fear of speaking torment people in this place. That's in Psalm 94, verse 17. Then there's the place of the dead, or Sheol, where spirits of death lurk. That's in Psalm 30, verse 3. There's also the land of the wandering. That holds people who cannot settle down. They feel lost, they feel scattered with spirits of double-mindedness, mind-binding, stupor, insecurity, confusion, and fear of authority. That's found in Genesis 4:14 and 16. So if you're feeling like you're tormented by spirits that could be assigned to keep you in bondage, you may need help to get out. And we're just one phone call away. I hope you enjoyed this. God bless you, and have a great week.